evening, everyone. Welcome to the Carlson A.I. show. We thank you. We're going to take you back to around October 2024. Fox News host Baier did an interview with then presidential candidate Karmala Harris. The questions presented to Harris were, in my opinion, simple and direct. But she really couldn't answer them in a coherent way. So what we did, myself and I, took the actual interview footage, which we will show as the before. We will then add what should have really been said. We will make Karmala Harris talk like she knows how to put a coherent sentence together. We will add what we think she was actually thinking of saying. Tell us what you think in the comments below. I would really love to hear what you think. And now October 2024 Fox interview with Baier and Karmala Harris.
You know, voters tell pollsters all over the country and here in Pennsylvania that immigration is one of the key issues that they're looking at this election, and specifically the influx of illegal immigrants from more than 150 countries. How many illegal immigrants would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the last 3.5 years?
Well, I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion that people want to rightly have. And you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but just a number. Do you think it's 1 million, 3 million?
Brett, let's just get to the point. Okay, the point is that we have a broken immigration system that needs to be repaired.
So your Homeland Security Secretary said that
I'm not going to give you a straight answer because, quite frankly, our administration, suffering from Donald Trump syndrome, wanted all of his presidential policies, whether they helped the American people or not, completely wiped off the books. We know had we kept a good majority of his policies that our borders would have been safer. But we failed because Donald Trump succeeded and we couldn't have him being remembered as a president who had a successful administration. We sacrificed the American people and their tax dollars just so we could get as many illegal immigrants into this country, and then in our last year pretend we care enough to try and act like we can fix this problem.
Looking back, do you regret the decision to terminate Remain in Mexico at the beginning of your administration?
At the beginning of our administration, within practically hours of taking the oath, the first bill that we offered Congress, before we worked on infrastructure, before the Inflation Reduction Act, before the CHIPS and Science Act, before the bipartisan Safer Communities Act, the first bill, practically within hours of taking the oath, was a bill to fix our immigration system.
Why should we have any regrets? Bringing these illegal immigrants into our country is a guaranteed vote for the Democratic Party. American paid tax dollars for free rent, food, cell phones, health care. How else could we expect to win any election if we didn't sacrifice the American people? It's ridiculous to think that this country cannot afford to put up with future voters, people who come into this country knowing that the Democrats will provide for them. What other country would do that? It's all about winning, and that's all that really matters.
A number of experts thought you would say China. The FBI director had said that. But you said Iran. If that's the case, what do you say to critics who look at the actions of your administration and say you're not acting like Iran is the #1 threat?
Well, I will tell you most recently, whether it was in April or in October, and then several hours on each occasion, that Iran posed a threat to Israel. I was there, most recently in the Situation Room, in the most recent attack, working with the heads of our military and doing what America must always do to defend and to support Israel in its requirement to defend itself.
We are big hypocrites. We, through our administration, gave tons of money to Iran. We know by buying our gas and oil through Iran that, yes, it makes perfect sense that our money would be spent on terrorism. We made Iran rich. Donald Trump made Iran poor. But I'll tell you to your face that I believe Iran to be the biggest threat to our country. And yes, I am lying.
Our next segment, our version of Joe Biden's farewell address. We decided to, for once, have President Joe Biden tell us the whole truth. Nothing but the whole truth. Again, tell us what you think in the comments below.
Hello, my fellow inmates. I'm sorry I met my fellow Americans. Tonight I say a very sad farewell to you. In the 4 years that I have been vice president, president. In the 4 years that I have been president, I have worked hard on delivering my promise of unity and a very prosperous United States. Unfortunately, I have never in my life kept any promises that I have made. Well, no, I take that back. If you financially supported me, any promises made by me to you I have kept. Well, no, I take that back. I have never been good on keeping my promises. I think what I wanted to say is that I have never lied to you. I remember as a child that one day my father came home and found his favorite old cherry tree cut down. My father approached me and asked me if I knew anything about his favorite old cherry tree being cut down. I stood tall and I said, "Father, I cannot tell you a lie. It was James, my youngest brother, who chopped down that old cherry tree of yours. And boy, did my father whip my brother James' ass. I knew what it was like growing up poor. My neighbors were poor people. Every day, my family, instead of watching television, we watched our neighbors struggle with everyday life. I honestly felt bad for them. It was kind of like watching a bad afternoon soap opera. Once in a while, when we couldn't finish our dinner, we gave our leftovers to the neighbors. Not the ones that were poor, our other neighbors, the ones that worked. Yes, I witnessed the struggles of a poor family. I thank God that my family was never poor. But tonight, my fellow Americans, I bid you a sorry farewell. I'm sorry that I couldn't screw up your life anymore. I'm sorry that I have to leave the White House. Seriously, folks, had I been allowed to stay in the race, I would have beaten Donald Trump. I would like to say goodbye to my staff, my teleprompter director, my press secretary, he, she, it, whatever her pronouns were. I would also like to say a special goodbye to my Vice President, Michelle Obama. Oh, my bad, Karmala Harris. Well, they both look a lot alike to me. So tonight I say goodbye to America. I'm leaving for Ukraine after Trump's inauguration. My son Hunter has been promised a job as top military general to oversee the war with Russia. Actually, my wife Jill says I'll be staying in this old folks' home. Hey, it's my retirement, so don't judge me. And so, America, you can't have your ice cream and eat it too. Well, maybe I can. Good night.